Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome into this Friday edition of the Farzy Show here at the Steven Singer Studios. My name is Marc Farzetta. Nice to have you along today. Yesterday when I said we had a jam-packed show, a lot of show, and whenever I say that, it's usually a lie, and I was like, I'm kidding. Well, today it's a jam-packed show. You know why? We got not one, but we got two guests for you today. We got Matt Breen from Inquirer.com. He'll be joining the program, talking about all things Phillies. I figured we got a nice little rain out yesterday. We all didn't have to suffer the bullpen for one more day. So technically, right now, it's been 1 day since our last bullpen incident, our last bullpen nonsense, if we're quoting Dwight Schrute, as we said yesterday. So we got 1 day since that happened. So that feels good, even though they didn't play. 1 day, not one game. But Matt Breen, Inquirer.com, will be joining us coming up in just a moment. And then when we get closer to the top of the hour, closer to 7 o'clock, you know who we're going to talk to? We're going to talk to the great Mark Jackson. That's right. Mark Jackson will join the program, talk about these Ben Simmons rumors, talk about his friend Mark Zumoff's career. But we'll talk all things 76ers with Mark Jackson coming up a little bit closer to 7 o'clock today. It's a FanUp Friday, so make sure you issue some challenges to me on the FanUp app, and we can have some good times with that. But I start off today with something that I saw yesterday that really bothered me, and it's been off the charts. We haven't really talked about this because we've been so focused on the Sixers. We've been so focused on the Phillies. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about that. We haven't gotten a lot into football, but I will tell you, Monday, we will have a show for you on Monday. I will be remote on Monday. I will most likely be doing Monday's show from my car. Now, I will not be driving my car, but I'll be at my brother-in-law's house. So I will go to my car because my brother-in-law has a newborn baby, like 2 months old. Not even 2 months, like a month old, this kid. And I don't want to be in the house being loud with my loud self. So I will probably just go to my car. There's no body of water around me, so I can't be in a lake, unfortunately, on my kayak. I apologize. But I will do the beginning of the show remotely. We will have a football guest. Zach Berman will be on with us on Monday. So we'll talk more football then. But here's what got me. Yesterday, I saw ESPN putting out some stories, and they're quoting Pro Football Focus. So just check this out for a second. Top 5 rosters in the NFL. This is according to Pro Football Focus. You see, let's see there. You got that Tom Brady fellow with the Buccaneers. Then you got the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you got the Cleveland Browns. And you got the Buffalo Bills. And you got the Baltimore Ravens, as you can see right down there. Top 5 rosters in the NFL. What is in common with all those right there? Proven quarterback, probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now. A proven quarterback, Baker Mayfield, I think has proven himself at least to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, so proven. And then you have the Buffalo Bills. They had an MVP candidate as the quarterback last year. And then you have an MVP as Lamar Jackson there for the Baltimore Ravens. So quarterback is kind of a very common thing amongst all these teams. Now let's take a look at this. The bottom 5 NFL rosters, ladies and gentlemen. This does not make you feel warm and fuzzy. You see Jacksonville, you see the Philadelphia Eagles, see the New York Jets. The Eagles are one notch above the New York Jets on this list here. And then you got the Detroit Lions, and then you got the Houston Texans. Worrisome? Here's what it does. It reminds you that you should hate Howie Roseman. It's kind of what it does. But it all depends on really one thing. And it's not even Nick Sirianni as a head coach. It's not Nick Sirianni as a strategist, right? You know what it is? It comes down to one person. It comes down to Jalen Hurts. And I've been saying that this entire offseason. It comes down to Jalen Hurts. How good a quarterback is he going to be? We have not seen a lot of them. We've seen 4 games, right? And we haven't seen the consistency in those 4 games. Here's what we know. He's an athlete. As Jason Avant told us months ago, even when Carson Wentz was still here in Philadelphia, he told us that Jalen Hurts, if he doesn't know the play, he's going to make the play. And you love to have that type of improvisational skill in a quarterback, but I would hope now as a full offseason, knowing that he's most likely going to be the starter of this football team, that he would digest the playbook and it'd be good to go. And you could feel confident that he'll at least know the playbook going into the season. If that's the case, then I think the Eagles are going to have at least a serviceable quarterback that will make that big play, that will create a big play for this offense. If not, if you have more of the guy that's depending on his legs to make a play, if he's depending on his athleticism to make a play, as opposed to knowing what the play is supposed to be, then we could still have a pretty big problem. I think he can play. I think overall the Eagles are going to have a decent season. I think they're going to compete for a wild card. That's where I sit right now with this football team. But it all depends really on the how good your quarterback's going to be. And then you have to factor in the other things that you have to say every single time you talk about how good a football team is. If they stay healthy, gotcha. Well, if they do stay healthy, especially on the offensive line, then I think the Eagles are going to have a decent season to say the least. But it did surprise me a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe because it's the optimist in me occasionally. Maybe it's the optimist in me that wanted their offense to be, or excuse me, their roster in total to have a little bit more, regard around the NFL. Apparently, Pro Football Focus puts that in perspective, saying, not so fast, Eagles fans. Bottom 5 roster in the NFL. Camp's just a couple of weeks away. Good time. So anyway, Zach Berman will join us coming up on Monday to help us sift through all that. The other piece of Eagles news that we're going to get into is the Zach Ertz little nugget dropped by Merrill Reese the other day about how they're close to a trade with the Buffalo Bills. I can only imagine that that's probably been true for a while, simply because the speculation's been out there. Some other notable NFL voices have come out and speculated the same thing. Merrill's just flat out saying that it's close to getting done. I would imagine that nothing has really changed since the NFL draft, where teams know that Zach Ertz is available. They have put in their bid for Zach Ertz, what they're willing to part with in order to get the Eagles tight end. And they're pretty much just standing right there, because what has changed since then? Zach Ertz hasn't gotten any younger. He hasn't gotten any better. The Eagles' leverage hasn't changed at all. I mean, if anything, one of the things we talked about with Adam Kaplan months ago was that after the draft, you look around and you see, all right, who didn't get the tight end they wanted in the draft? Who still needs a tight end? Well, that could very well be the Buffalo Bills. And you try to make it work in that regard. So that could be something that really hasn't changed much over the last couple of months. We'll try to get an update from Zach Berman on that coming up on Monday when we discuss the Eagles a little bit further than that. Coming up in our morning rush, we have some fun baseball stuff to get to, and we will certainly do that. I already told you congratulations on not having to digest the Phillies, so that's a positive thing. The other thing I wanted to touch on here is about everybody's favorite character right now, and that's Ben Simmons. There was some more speculation, not a report, from Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer that put out a story that got picked up, and it's one of those things where I read the story, and then I think, why is this getting all this reaction? Like, if I was just to look at the reaction from yesterday, I would say to myself, oh, wow, Ben Simmons is getting traded to the to the Clippers. Ben Simmons is getting traded to the LA Clippers. Okay. And then you go back and you read the story and you're like, what? You talk about speculation. This is speculation. This is Ben Simmons spends a lot of time in the offseason in Los Angeles. This is like when we suspect somebody wants to be traded, and we're like, where are they traded? Or it's like Bryce Harper, where's he going to sign? And we're following who he likes on Instagram. We're following who he starts following on Twitter, and we're like, oh, he just followed Reese Hoskins. I bet she's coming to Philadelphia. That's kind of all it is. Ben Simmons bought a house in Los Angeles, $17 million. Wow. But as far as a trade to the Clippers goes, it just speculates that he could end up in Los Angeles playing for the Clippers as opposed to the Lakers, whereas we even said this yesterday, it's the obvious destination if he's not in Philadelphia where he could end up. I know that I got a text message yesterday from my cousin-in-law that said, hey, he's from Oregon. We don't want Ben Simmons. So leave Dame Lillard alone. And I'm like, okay, well, I think if I'm in your shoes coming off of this, I think I would feel the same way. But as far as the article from Kevin O'Connor goes, I mean, it's not wrong to speculate, but I think a lot of people are treating it like it's a rock solid report, when really it's, I think, what a lot of us know already, that Ben probably, if he's going to be traded, wants to end up in Los Angeles. I think Ben would want to be in Los Angeles more so than he want to be in Portland. But as of right now, he's not getting moved. And the number one reason he is not getting moved is because of trade value. I don't think Daryl Morey wants to sell a guy when he's at his absolute lowest point that he's been at so far as a professional. I don't think he's going to be there, especially when he's got 4 more years left on his deal. He's going to be the most expensive for the lowest value. Yeah, I don't think that's the way Daryl Morey really wants to wheel and deal here. We'll ask Mark Jackson about that coming up at the top of the hour. But when it comes to just the speculation that surrounds the article here, it really just says that Ben Simmons could be traded to the Clippers because he spends a lot of off-season time with the Clippers. But would Kawhi want to be with Ben Simmons, especially after this season? That's pretty much the story right there. So that's what you got. I want to tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, ladies and gentlemen. He absolutely takes care of the Delaware Valley for over 4 decades. He's been doing that right now, and he's been doing a fantastic job. One of the things that he specializes in, one of the many things he specializes in, is making you feel comfortable, taking the pressure away. That's why people say, I hate Steven Singer, because he makes it so damn easy to buy a diamond engagement ring. So you don't have those excuses anymore, fellas or ladies. You don't have those excuses. Oh, there's too much pressure. There's too much haggling. It's too expensive. No, it's Steven Singer Jewelers. First off, you get the perfect price every single time. So you don't have to worry about negotiating. You don't have to worry about the person next to you is paying more or less than you. You just know everything's getting set at the perfect price every single time. That's why people say, I hate Steven Singer Jewelers, because he makes it so easy, taking away all the excuses. Steven is a Philly jeweler that has been making it too easy to buy real diamonds for over 4 decades. He specializes in diamond engagement rings. He has a staff of real experts, real jewelers, real people that are ready to help you buy the perfect ring or gift at the perfect price. No call center, no sales, no haggling, no codes, promo codes, that is, no discounts. Just the best possible pricing guaranteed. The best value every single day. Check out Steven Singer Jewelers at the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia, or online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. All right, in this interview with Matt Breen, we got into a lot of the Phillies conversation. And then we also played a little FanUp 5 with him as well. Rainy day yesterday. It wasn't a good day for Farzy in the field, so we threw it to a FanUp 5, and I will tell you this much. Matt crushes this. A lot of great questions from some people that wrote in, so it's a good time. So we got Matt Breen right now. We got Mark Jackson coming up in just a second, but Matt Breen joins us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, our friend from Philadelphia Inquirer and Inquirer.com, Matt Breen joins us. Matt, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, you're gonna have a little fun with the FanUp 5 a little bit later in this segment, but I got to ask you this because it seems like this is getting brought up more and more. Joe Girardi and the words "hot seat" for Joe Girardi. Is Joe feeling more pressure? Is there more pressure from Dave Dombrowski and ownership? What sort of pressure do you think Joe Girardi is under right now?
I think Joe Girardi kind of put himself on the hot seat on Wednesday night when, after another Phillies loss, he said he was talking about Nefertali Feliz and saying how it's a results-oriented business, and if you don't perform, someone has to go. And he said that even matters to me too, and that pertains to me. It's a results-oriented basis for me, and it was kind of interesting that the manager openly said, if I don't win, I have to be held to that standard. And I don't want to say Joe Girardi's on the hot seat. I don't believe because if you're on the hot seat, that means like you could get fired tomorrow, and
right.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
But if this continues to trend the way it looks like it is, and it doesn't change, and you get to September and this team has a losing record and they finish a handful of games out of first place, out of the playoffs, something's going to happen. John Middleton's going to have to do something, and the manager is usually the guy that takes the fall for it. So we're a long way away from that, but it's not, out of this world to think that if this team continues to have a bad season, that yes, Joe Girardi, he has 1 year left on his contract, is expendable, but you also have to think about how many people does John Middleton want to pay to not work? He's already paying a general manager for next season. Does he want to pay a manager next season too who's not working? So it's going to be an interesting rest of the season. It's far from over. But Joe Girardi, yes, you can say the seat is getting warmer, and I think he put himself on that warm seat the other night.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I heard him say that. And the first thing that went through my mind was like, gee, shucks, Joe. Like, I understand that you want to be hard on yourself, and I understand that you want to acknowledge the fact that your job could be on the line as well. But really, it comes down to, as you said, what John Middleton really wants to do and how many people he wants to pay to stop working for him. Matt, I do want to ask you this because I don't think anyone's ever issued a decree like this before. But how are you doing under the new Reese Hoskins guidelines about how you're supposed to write as a writer now?
I will say this, and I was actually just thinking about this before I got on with you. And Reese Hoskins is, ever since he came to the major leagues, and I'm not defending what he said because what he said was silly, and you don't need to tell the writers to write about the positive things. We write about the story. The story of the day is win or lose. Aaron Nola struck out 10 guys in a row. Amazing, hasn't happened since Tom Seaver, but the Phillies lost the game. So the story of that game is the Phillies lost. It's a nice little side note that Aaron Nola made baseball history, but does the fan care? No, the fan cares win or lose. So that's what the story is. That's what we do. We write what the story is. When that's the game. It's not college sports. It's not high school sports. It's pro sports. Win or loss. It's all that matters. But I will give Reese Hoskins credit where ever since he came up from the minors, he's been the face of this franchise. He's accessible. He's a great quote. He's always, when times are tough, he's the guy. If it's on the Zoom call or if he's standing in front of his locker, he's always available. So I'll give him a pass. Anybody else, Joe Blow says this, he's getting ripped. I just think for Reese Hoskins, it's like, all right. I honestly believe in that clubhouse, he's one of the guys that most respects or understands what we do. So I didn't take it as like a personal insult. It's a guy going through a tough stretch, trying to fire up his teammates. And I don't know. I wasn't, if anybody else, maybe, I'm fired up. But Reese Hoskins is like, I'll give you a pass. You're always available. You're always accessible. You want to say something? Go ahead.
I agree with you wholeheartedly in what you said, as far as Reese is always the guy that is willing to address the media. He never cowers behind anybody. He's always willing to be, the face of the franchise and answer the tough questions. But I almost got a sense of remorse from Reese Hoskins where he felt like his error or his blunder then took away from a good start from Zach Eflin. They lost in part, and a big reason, because of his error. So I think what I got from him was that he felt bad that he was going to take away from the attention that a guy like Zach Eflin should have gotten in that game.
Yeah. I mean, and like I say, of all the guys in the clubhouse that respect what we do, it's also of all the guys in that clubhouse, I think he's one of the guys that really wears a win or loss the most, and a guy that cares a lot. He's been around the longest almost. So he's been through, this whole last 4 or 5 years. And I'm sure he did really, care that he made that error and that he effectively lost that game for the team. And it was a way, I think, the guys in the clubhouse watch these Zoom interviews live. So they're listening to what he's saying. And he's talking to us. He's talking to the people on Postgame Live, but he's also talking to his own teammates and telling them, maybe like a little motivational speech to keep going. And yeah, we lost today, but, there was a lot of great things happening in this team. And it just wasn't the time to say it or the right way to say it. You just made an error, and you just lost a game, but really look at Ranger Suarez pitched great, even though he gave up a home run. It was like, I don't know. It wasn't. But again, I don't. It's this guy.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
He's a class act. He's been like that since the minors. So
I get that. I get it 1,000%. I didn't realize that the guys in the clubhouse are actually watching those Zoom. So are they watching Joe Girardi? They're watching the other players get interviewed as well.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's every single night, but I know at times they've watched these Zooms. They have a feed throughout the ballpark. That you can. There's a channel that is the Zoom channel, and they can watch these interviews as they happen. And if they're not watching them live, they're watching them when they get back to their hotel room. They say it. It's not. Reese Hoskins was not just talking to me. He was talking to his teammates and everybody.
Interesting. Interesting. All right, so let's jump now to some of the meat and potatoes with this team. With the rain out, we got a little bit more time to concentrate on maybe trying to fix some of these problems here. I think you, as a matter of fact, last year who tweeted out how historically bad the Phillies have been as a bullpen. And now it's like, all right, challenge accepted. We'll try to be worse than that. What are you making of this Phillies bullpen this year?
I didn't think it could get worse, but the Phillies are challenging that. I don't know. I thought the bullpen was going to be a strength for them coming into the season. I wrote this story that somebody just tweeted at me that it was like Phillies bullpen may be a strength for them in 2021, but the key word is may.
Right.
So I'm not wrong. It could have been, and it does not look that way. Brandon Kintzler got activated from the injured list on Thursday. Maybe that's a boost. That's a guy with a track record, was hurt pretty much the entire time he was pitching here, so that could help. But really, it looks like everybody they throw out there struggles. Nefertiti Feliz doesn't throw a pitch in the majors for 4 years, comes in and gives up a grand slam, then gets hit around the next night and gets DFA'd. It just doesn't seem like anybody, anything is going the right way. And then another problem is that it's like every night 4 or 5 guys are unavailable, it seems like. So I think the bullpen, the workload is catching up to them, and the management with that workload just doesn't seem to work out, where it's like they fall into a habit where almost every night or every other night you're shorthanded out there. So the talent's not there, plus the actual arms aren't there because they're shorthanded, and you add that up, it's not good.
So let me ask this. What's the plan then for a guy like Spencer Howard? Because it seems like he's in the bullpen one moment, he's in the minors the next, he's a starter the next, and then they just keep on jostling him around. What do you think the long-term plan is for Spencer Howard and this Phillies team?
Yeah, I think they're finally thinking of a long-term plan, and that's what they did this week by sending him to AAA. And I suggested this a week ago, and it just seemed so obvious this was the way to do it, where he was pitching 3-inning starts, was looking really good in the first inning, then fading away in the second and third. Velocity was going down, command was erratic. And then they had a game in San Francisco where they skipped him, and he ended up pitching out of the bullpen as a mop-up guy. And I'm thinking, you didn't have confidence this is your number one prospect. You didn't have confidence to start him in San Francisco, but you wasted his innings, which are on an innings limit, and you wasted them as a mop-up guy. It's just, what is going on? There's no plan here. This is not good for his development. None of this was ideal. Send him to AAA. Just give up on Spencer Howard being a pitcher for you in 2021. He's too important. Think about 2022, 2023. You got to have the long-term view here. He's obviously not going to help you right now. Get him to AAA. Let him just pitch. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to let him pitch every fifth day, starting rotation with the Iron Pigs, build up to 100 pitches. If he comes back this year, great. That's a bonus. But if not, you at least know that he's ready to contribute opening day next year in your rotation, as long as he shows that he is a number one pitching prospect the rest of the year in AAA.
Just real quick, I got to ask you this question. If the Phillies continue on this trend, which is just around a 500 team right now, come the trade deadline, would you expect them to be buyers or sellers? Just real quick, what would your expectation be?
Sellers. But again, there's just with Joe Girardi, there's a lot of time. There's a lot of time to get to the trade deadline. One good week could make you a buyer, but another one really bad week makes you definitely a seller. Right now, trending towards seller. They're playing the Padres this weekend, but next week they go to Chicago, and the Cubs are not playing that good right now. So that could be your good week. And the next thing you know, you're looking at, can they add to this bullpen?
All right, well, let's hope that they do improve, because I would hate to be a seller for another year when it comes to the Phillies, or really comes to any team in Philadelphia. Matt Breen, we do a little segment on the show every once in a while called the FanUp 5, brought to you by our good friends at FanUp. It's where listeners and viewers of this show write us some questions to ask our guest, and you're our guest today. Are you ready to play the FanUp 5, my friend?
I'm ready, Mark.
All right, here we go. The FanUp 5. First one is one of my favorite ones that's come in. This one's from Eric in the Northeast. One baseball movie character you could put on the Phillies right now, who would it be?
I would bring up Henry Rowan Gardner. And I think you need a pitcher, right? Maybe put him in the bullpen.
Yeah.
He throws 100. A lot of people might say Billy Haywood, and you put him in the dugout, but I'm going to go for now. I like Henry Rowan Gardner. We'll see, maybe Billy Haywood next year.
Didn't he finish that movie as Bill Haywood? He wanted to grow up a little bit.
A young Bill Haywood.
A young Bill.
Quick side note. High school prank called WIP and suggested that the Phillies make a trade. This is how cool me and my friends were. And we said they should trade with the Cubs for Rowan Gardner and Stedman. And I think it was Glenn McNown. He's like, and we said they were from the Iowa Cubs, these prospects. Iowa Cubs, boom, hangs up. But we got it on air, and it was awesome.
Have you seen Glenn since then?
Yeah, I haven't told him. Like, he'll have me on his show on Saturday mornings, and I'm just like, talking Phillies. I'm like, yeah, I prank called you in 2007.
You got to work it in every once in a while. This is a good one. Okay, if this one's from Michelle in Southwest Philly. If you weren't a writer, what would you be?
A firefighter or a WWE pro wrestler?
What would your finishing move be? Follow-up question.
DDT, probably. That's what it was. I was like backyard wrestling as a kid.
Put the mattress down in the backyard. Number 3, this one comes from Mike in Downingtown. This is good. Pick one thing to do in professional sports that you could actually do. You'd have to perform it in a game. What would it be? Examples are like a free throw, a field goal, a pinch runner, bullpen pitcher for the Phillies, something that you could actually do physically in a professional sport.
I've kicked like a 25, 30-yarder at the link on some like media day years ago. So I could probably do that. But in all honesty, I can make a foul shot. It's like anybody can make a foul shot. That's the one thing in pro sports. It's the same thing as high school and the NBA. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons can't make a foul shot. The guy at Archer O'Brien shoots the same foul shot. He can make it for you. You know, I honestly, that's the one thing. I'm not. Yeah. I know we're talking Phillies, but God, I don't get it. Nothing changes.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back, Matt Breen.
It's just going. Like, it's so stupid. It's the same thing.
It's for girls and guys too. Girls and guys.
Ball. Yeah, same ball, same rim. Ryan Judge on a Friday night. You know, they're making their foul shots.
I love that we're going Catholic League reference. This is great. And Archbishop Boyd, they're doing the same thing. No, that's great. All right, so make a free throw. Maybe can you coach free throws? Well, we'll talk about that later. No. All right. Favorite game you attended as a fan? That one comes from Nick in the Northeast, another Northeast kid.
I would say
favorite game as a fan.
Halliday's postseason no-hitter. Because since he threw the perfect game or that year, you were kind of like every other start, you were waiting for him to do it again. But once he went through either the first 2 or 3 innings, no hit, you're like, he might do it. And I thought that was just awesome to see live. And then probably the last game at the Vet, just because of like what, that meant, and like be able to be there for actually both games, even though the Eagles one was, heartbreaking. But for, all of us who really grew up at the Vet going to the game, so to be at the last game was definitely, a cool memory that sticks out.
No, that's a great one. Last one is Mitch in Center City. What advice would you give a tourist visiting Philadelphia?
So people are going to hate this, but like, this is very simple, is to go to Patrigino's. And like, I know like everyone's like, where's your best cheesesteak? And like, I'm not saying they have the best cheesesteaks, but you're a tourist, right? You're coming out of town, get the experience, go to Patrigino's. It's like, if you go to Chicago, I'm sure Giordano's isn't the best pizza in Chicago, but it's the experience. And I think that's our best cheesesteak experience, is to go to Patrigino's and then maybe go on a hunt and find the best one.
I love that idea. That's the best way to present that, actually. Go ahead, get the experience, but then get yourself a real cheesesteak for comparison later.
I just hate people are Patrigino's sucks. It's like, dude, it's a cheesesteak, and it's like, that's where you go. You see the lights, you're on across the street from each other, you're in South Philly, like, that's cool. That's where I would send somebody.
Well, some of my cousins from out of town that came into Philly, they didn't tell me that they were doing this. They just told me they were getting a cheesesteak. I made my recommendation. I love Tony Luke's, and it's only because of the sharp provolone cheese. I'm a sucker for sharp prov. And he goes, what he did? The 2 cousins, one went to Pat's, one went to Gino's. They each ate half of a cheesesteak. So they had a full cheesesteak, but half of one and half from another, which I thought was brilliant. And then they went to Tony Luke's, then they went to Jim's, and then they went to D'Alessandro's. So needless to say, their week in Philly, they gained a lot of weight, but they really enjoyed it. So they got the whole gambit. But I like that piece of advice. Go there first, get it out of the way, get the experience. Matt Breen, Inquirer.com, Philadelphia Inquirer, Phillies beat writer. Thanks so much for not only joining the show, but also playing the FanUp 5. And thank you for joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Matt, thank you so much.
Anytime. Thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Matt Breen right there joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. My appreciation to Matt for all that. Let's just say, following the chat, as per usual, you guys are on fire today. Just scorching. You guys are scorching today. We, of course, have our social media check-in coming up in just a second. And then we also have our our morning rush segment that I always enjoy. Hopefully you do as well. And then in just a little bit, we're also going to be talking to Mark Jackson coming up a little bit closer to the top of the hour. But all things 10, 9, 8, 76ers. So we're going to get into all that and more. As far as Matt's FanUp 5 there, the DDT finishing move is something I'd like to see him pull off. Something tells me he has that down pat, and I'm kind of afraid of him now. Let's tell you about some of our friends here that are fine sponsors of this program, like Rothman Orthopaedics, brand new to the Farzy show. Welcome in there, Rothman Orthopaedics. When you have orthopedic issues, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, breathes orthopedics. That's why you need to call Rothman Orthopaedics, because a Rothman Orthopaedics physician, you know what they do? They specialize in orthopedics, and each of their physician only focuses on one area of the body, which means you can have confidence that you'll get past the pain and you'll be what you were before the pain. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. You know where I'm having lunch today? Steak in Maine. Going down for the 4th of July to my brother-in-law's down there in Maryland. We're going to get a little pool time. Lil Toots loves the pool, so we'll be in the pool. And you know what? I'll be stopping at a Steak in Maine first for a nice little lunch on the way down there. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that in an extensive wine list, including Cavada Cellars wines. If you're going there for that nice 2-pound tomahawk steak, I recommend the Pinot Noir from the Cavada Cellars wines. Absolutely fantastic. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak in Maine and Northeast Maryland voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakinmaine.com for more information. I recommend sitting by the vault. All right? Because when you walk in, you're going to see this big like vault door in the back of the restaurant, and you know what? It's not a vault. It wasn't. The building did not used to be a bank. My man Tony Cavada found that door, put it on his refrigerator where he keeps all the booze for the restaurant and other things as well. And that opens up every now and then. Waiters and waitresses walk in and out, and you just look at the majesty that is that little freezer, that little refrigerator room, and all the deliciousness that is in that room. Good times. It's a nice little piece of decor, if you will. How about our friends over there at PHL Sports Nation? PHL Sports Nation is a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. They brought us the FanUp 5 today. They bring us Farzy in the field every week. Our friends at FanUp. That's right. Download the FanUp app right now in the App Store and get 2,000 bonus points. That's FanUp. Here's what you can do with those bonus points. You can play some fantasy sports on there. You can make bets with your friends. You can make challenges with your friends. You can talk trash with your friends. All that one central spot on the FanUp app. It is a lot of fun. I'm doing it with my friends. It's a great time. You can win brand prizes. You fill out your profile so they know what you're in the hunt for. I always mention I'm into the DeWalt tools. You can win some stuff there. You can win a pair of Jordans. If that's your thing, you can win a Louis Vuitton bag, all that stuff. I mentioned the Peloton bike. Like all this stuff you could win because you could win brand prizes at the FanUp app. Download the FanUp app right now in the App Store. Get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate when you use promo code FANUP. FanUp, just be fans. All right, without further ado, let's get into our social media check-in brought to you by Steak in Maine at steakinmaine.com and see what all the good people are saying out there on social media. Rob's checking in, our first commenter of the day. Rob Skillen just says, Fars. What's up, Rob? How you doing? Nice to see you. It's the week of bald men named Mark. Benny, I asked Mark Jackson about that. Don't you worry. I realized it as I was introing him, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, because we taped late last night, and I was like, wow. Because when I was at NBC, we would joke about that. Here we are. We've come to the meeting. But yes, it's the week for bald men named Mark with a C. That's for damn sure. April says, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, April. Benny, I like when April April says hi, everyone. Hi, April. Of course, Dan has to be different. Dan just puts in there, Sealski. Far as you're going to be in Maryland. Yes, I am. I am going to be in Maryland. And Dan, good morning to you. Rob, good morning to you. Rob, I feel like you just want to move there and leave us already. I am not moving to Maryland. I have roots in Maryland. My mom is from Maryland. I'm from up here. My dad's from up here. I'm from Ambler originally. But I'm in and out of Maryland. I've been in and out of Maryland, Baltimore specifically, Dundalk more specifically, my entire life. And if anyone knows Dundalk, I don't think they ever referenced it in The Wire because it was probably too dangerous for The Wire. That's Dundalk. Anyway, but great spots in Dundalk. Love Dundalk. Anyway, but yeah, not moving to Baltimore anytime soon. Don't you worry. I will be getting Jason Avant back on. That'll happen in the not too distant future. T-Bro, what's up, homie? Farzy chat, how we doing this Friday morning? Feels like everyone's doing pretty well. Pretty well. All right. Oh, hold on. Dan Schwartz is making a public announcement. Wish me luck. I'm going in to get an MRI and MRA on my head. I don't care if they find anything. I'm more worried because he's claustrophobic. They gave me Xanax. This should be interesting. Sealski sucks. Come on, Dan. Here I am about to say, hey, prayers up, good vibes up for Dan, and then you got to throw in a Sealski sucks. But in all seriousness, good luck to you on the MRI and all that stuff, man. Seriously, good luck. I know people that are claustrophobic, and they hate, if they have to do anything like that, forget about it. They go nuts. But I'm sure you'll be fine. You'll be in there photoshopping things, so you'll be good to go. Pete's checking in, saying he'd trade Ben for McCall Bridges. Yeah, I'm not that far off. I'm getting closer and closer. Andrew's checking in. Oh, and Jacob saying congrats on 1,000 subscriptions. People that subscribed on YouTube. Let me tell you how much I love my agent. My agent has been like, all right, we got to get to 1,000 subscriptions. We got to get to 1,000 subs and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And then yesterday I saw we got to that. And how great is it that we did it with Mark Zumoff being the guest on that show? How perfect is that? Our first 1,000 subscriptions here, subscribers on the YouTube. And my agent says, I'm like, hey, we got to 1,000. He's like, you know what? They could be bots. And I'm like, I love this guy. He's the best. He absolutely is. Josh, you know you're the best. And I'm like, that's like something my mom would say. Like if I think I've told this story before. My mom was like, I don't know if it's intentionally raining on parades, but she was always like, I got to make sure my boys are humble. And I have an older brother, Michael, who I've referenced before. And like something great will happen. Like I always tell this story. On birthdays growing up, you know, I'm talking about being a kid, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And there's always the big present. If you had a birthday party and your friends were around, there's always that one big present that you were eyeing, like, oh, I wonder what's in that thing. And I'd get the big present, I'd put it down, and right before I would open the big present, my mom would go, you know, Mark, some children don't have presents. And I'm like, what the? Wow, thanks, Mom. What a buzzkill. And it was like, I just want to make sure you stay humble and appreciate all this stuff. And that's my mom. That's the best way to describe my mom. So anyway, it reminded me of that. Like, hey, we got 1,000 subscriptions. There could be bots. Thanks, Eleanor. That's the way it's kind of. So we're not going to celebrate it just yet. But when we do, we got a special something for you. Don't you worry. But thank you for the people that are congratulating us on 1,000 subs. So I do appreciate that. Andrew says he's a new Farzy sub, so welcome in. I'm glad you're loving it. Much appreciated. Wait till you get to our morning rush. It's coming up next. And oh man, let me just say this. If you guys thought the twerking to the violinist was crazy during the Farzy show last week with the morning rush, this morning rush has nudity. Happy 4th of July. It's gonna get cray. It's going to get cray. Is Matt Breen an insider? He's the beat writer, so I guess he's an insider. That's Jack. Jack, thanks for checking in. April's saying, still waiting on Farzy to do a Farzy in the field at Comic-Con. I'm telling you, it's coming. I'm going to do something special there. Don't you worry. Mark's checking in saying, Mark, congratulations on 1,000. Appreciate that. Impressive. That is very nice of you. In the first couple of months we did the show, it's been pretty wild. Thank you very much for that. We got a Sealski rant going up. Mally, I was worried sick. I'm always worried sick when I don't see you. Farzy, you got to do a Philly sports writer wrestling tournament. Round of 64. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do, Matt. I'm literally going to clip that with the snipping tool, and I'm going to send that to Matt Breen and say, "Look what you did." He'll really enjoy that. What else do we have here? Matt, challenge accepted. Eric says, "Mark, you seem like a sucker for provolone." I am. I absolutely am. That stuff is stinky and delicious. People praying for Dan. We're absolutely praying for Dan. Luigi, what are you saying yes to? I don't know what you're saying yes to, but sure. You know what? I know you guys want that weather girl. You know what I could use? I could use just someone to read the comments to me so they can piece it together for me. Oh, nudity. Yes, Luigi, nudity just for you. Don't you worry. You don't want to miss it. And yes, Dan, we wish you nothing but good vibes today, my friend. And April saying, yeah, duh, Mark, nudity. Thanks to everyone that checked in on our social media. Check in our comment section here on YouTube. Much appreciated. If you want to get your comment in, feel free to subscribe and go ahead and put your stuff up there. Don't you worry. You guys are always a blast. All right. Let's get into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Let's start it off with, I'm going to totally rip this off, but it's the only thing I can think of. You guys know I'm a big fan of Scott Van Pelt. He does the best thing I saw today. I'm just ripping that right off. Best thing I saw yesterday was this. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is one of the leading all-star getters, all-star vote getters. All-star votes are all in. No Philly. It's a starter. Zach Wheeler would probably be a representative there. But look at this. Vlad Guerrero Sr. writes this about his son, Vlad Guerrero Jr. He's got 26 home runs right now. He's one of the leading all-star vote getters for the Toronto Blue Jays. Check this out. When you were a little kid, you used to go with me to the All-Star game. Today, you become the youngest player ever to lead Major League Baseball in All-Star voting. Proud dad. Who's chopping onions? Because Vladdy Daddy put this out with his son, Vlad Guerrero Jr., from an All-Star game when he was out there in Anaheim. I will say, admittedly, Vlad Guerrero is one of my favorite all-time baseball players. I loved Vlad Guerrero Sr., and his son is nothing short of spectacular. He's a phenom, that kid. This got me right in the feels yesterday for a little father-son moment. Field of dreams. Dad, you want to have a catch? How beautiful is that? One of the best things I saw yesterday. Got to give this shout out to the Italian national team. They play Belgium today in the Euro. Viva Italia, Forza Azzurri. Belgium, 3 o'clock kickoff. Here's the thing. I'll be at my brother-in-law's house, and my brother-in-law has an 85-inch TV. I'm going to be enjoying that game. That's going to be a lot of green. Bucks and the Hawks tipped off yesterday in Game 5 of that Eastern Conference Eastern Conference final. Yes, it still pains me. Yes, I'm still really annoyed by the fact that the Sixers aren't playing in that. However, Brook Lopez was insane yesterday. No Giannis Antetokounmpo. And no Trae Young for the Hawks. So both teams are scrambling. Bucks have 4 different guys finish in at least 20 points in the game for yesterday. Brook Lopez, a playoff career high 33 points. He was absolutely insane. And what else we got here? I took a glance at our comment section again. Luigi saying grass, green. Come on, Farzetta. It's too obvious now. Ratings horrible for this NBA playoffs. They were, and now the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals have actually been better. I said earlier in the week that the ratings were bad. They were earlier. Now they're a lot better, actually, believe it or not. But anyway, the Bucks, they win that game 123 to 113. Brook Lopez 33 points. And I promised you nudity. And folks, if I'm promising you nudity, I'm going to deliver some nudity. We've all heard of the Suns in 4 guy, right? Well, have you heard of the Bucks in 6 guy? Because, ladies and gentlemen, here he is. This is last night, Jumbotron, Fanavision, at the Bucks game. Yeah, there it is. You want it one more time? because I got all the time in the world, folks. It's the internet. I got no time stoppage. Happy 4th. Happy 4th of July. Bucks and 6. Bucks Peter Griffin is fire. I will just say that. Oh, my God. Bucks and 6, Lois. Anyway. So anyway, there's the nudity. Enjoy that. Enjoy not getting that vision out of your brain. Anyway. That's our that's our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars at skymotorcars.com. All right, without further ado, I want to get this basketball conversation in here because late last night, my good friend Mark Jackson hit me up and he said, hey, I can come on with you. And I was like, great. I, of course, asked him to come on. He wasn't just volunteering his services. But he was like, hey, I can come on at 9:30. So we taped an interview last night at 9:30 because I wanted to get some 76ers basketball conversation, a little bit more so than what we had already discussed regarding Ben Simmons. Mark's got some interesting comments when it comes to all things regarding the Sixers and Ben Simmons and where Ben Simmons could end up next year. And he's got an interesting angle in all of this simply because he knows Ben Simmons' father pretty well. I hope that the father rubs off on the son here the way Vlad Guerrero Sr. rubbed off on Vlad Guerrero Jr. But anyway, from NBC Sports Philadelphia, let's talk to our good friend Mark Jackson about all things Sixers here on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, our good friend from Temple University, NBC Sports Philadelphia, former 76er himself, Mr. Mark Jackson joins us. What's going on, Mark?
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Look, first I'm thrilled to talk to you. I got to address the news of the week, which is our dear friend, our also fellow bald Mark with a C, Mark Zumoff, retiring. Obviously, he called some great plays in your career, and you worked with him there at NBC as well. Your reaction to his news?
Shocked. Very shocked. I didn't get a hint earlier. I found out when everybody else found out. I guess most people found out when I got a press release text message that said, check social media. And I said, okay, what's that? That's weird. Normally a press release comes straight to me from the office. So I look at it and I click on social media and I'm like, whoa. And I thought it was a fluke. And I'm texting him like, Mark, is this true? Mark, is this true? And he didn't respond. So then I called Sean Alexiak and he was like, yes, it's true. And Mark finally got back to me, but he said as soon as the news came out, within seconds, he got bombarded with phone calls and well wishes and love. And I just wanted to add to it, man. That's, I think Mark started when I was like 19 years old, I believe, maybe 18, 19. And so since I was an adult, Mark has always been the voice of the Sixers. So seeing that news for me was like you lost one of your childhood idols. It was like, you heard every call, you heard Zoo, so. And, first of all, his parents was thinking the right thing when they named him Mark with a C. So, I mean, knew he was destined for greatness.
I mean, how could it not be?
He lived up to the name. So, it was a very sad moment, but I spoke to him and he's off to new adventures in his life, and him and his wife is just going to enjoy life. And I'm happy for him because a lot of people, they want to spend the remaining lives with the people they love. And he was saying, Mark, I've did a lot of things. I've been around the world. Now it's just time for me and my family to enjoy the fruits of life. And I'm happy for him. Mark's an incredible guy.
He absolutely is. And, speaking of family, I have to ask you because we haven't had a chance to catch up that much. And I know COVID derailed everything, especially in youth sports. And I know you're an AAU coach with your sons and everything. How is everything there? Is it back to normal yet for you guys?
Everything's back to normal. This has been a weird year, of course, because of COVID and the different hurdles you have to jump through to not just, compete, but did you want to compete? Did you want to compete when things open? You went cautiously, how would COVID affect your youth? How would it run rapid through the program? Stuff like that. So a bunch of stuff happened. And then gym time, half the suburbs was open before 4 months before the city was open. So it got to the point like when things were open in Delaware, I had to drive, my whole program had to drive to Wilmington, Delaware to practice at the Blue Coast facility. That was the closest court we could find, closest gym. So that got old, but, and then, that's not cheap. It wasn't free, even though I'm Mark Jackson. So, that kind of ate up at the budget. So, but I think to give those kids the environment to be able to be around their peers, I think helped relieve the stress to their parents, and I believe it helped the mental for the kids themselves to be around their peers, even though things were starting to open up, but things are still locked down, and I believe parents are telling me, we really appreciate you going out your way to be able to get these kids together to play basketball and just to be around each other, because it was a hard time for everyone.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And that kind of brings me to we all got a little bit more of that normal back with the NBA season coming back. And although it ended with disappointment, 7 games against the Hawks, I was in the building for the game, my friend, and it was a great crowd up until, I want to say, the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, when you just felt like there was going to be a run. And then the play happened with Ben Simmons not dunking the basketball with 3:30 left, and we've all talked about it ad nauseum. But what I want to talk about is what's going forward with this team. When it comes to Ben Simmons, do you see him returning to the Sixers next year, a better version of himself, offensively speaking, foul shooting, mid-range game? Or do you see him returning to the Sixers as the same version of the player that he is right now?
So let's travel back. So Ben has never been a perimeter-oriented person. He's never have been. But in high school and in college and in NBA rookie camp, summer league, he was shooting jump shots.
I love that. Yeah.
He was doing that. And then it seemed like every year he was shooting less and less, to the point he refused to shoot any. And that, to me, I think that takes some time to recover from, because I think that's more mental than physical. He was capable to shoot the mid-range. He never was a three-point shooter, but he was able to shoot the mid-range. But then going from shooting quite few to shooting 0, I started scratching my head like, this is going to be a tough hill to climb back up. So I'm hoping he returns as a different player, meaning the same kind of skill with more confidence, just jacking up and not caring if it goes in or goes out or misses. Just having the ability and the confidence to shoot it, to make people respect you enough to guard you, to open the floor up, and to help the team win. I don't think I'm alone in this boat. We're saying this team could only go for so far if one of your star players refuses to shoot the ball.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it's so ball dominant, when guards that are ball dominant are just taking over the league right now, and you see them being able to run away with it in that position. So what do you make of the rumors surrounding Ben Simmons when it comes to hard work ethic, and all that?
Well, I don't know that personally. I know Ben's father pretty well, and I know his father did not raise somebody who was lazy. I just can't envision Ben being lazy. I know Stephen A. made a comment on TV, but getting a chance to know his father the last couple of years, I just know his dad ain't raised no fool. His dad ain't raised a lazy kid. So I can't see that. I just think it comes to a point where some guys, when some athletes or people in general say, my way is working, so why do I have to change? I was an all-star. I'm first team on defense. Why do I have to change the way I play? And I think that mental hurdle is going to be the obstacle for Ben Simmons. I really believe that. And I think with that being said, he has to find it within himself to understand I have to change. I have to change, not just for myself, but for everyone around me. And I think it helped a little bit. It might have been a little ill-advised by some people. But when Joel called him out and said, I believe the turning point is when Ben didn't dunk that ball.
Right.
And Joel was slowly but surely kind of calling him out, like, hey, man, we need you to be aggressive. Hey, we need you to shoot that. He's been doing that for last year. And I think that turning point when he didn't dunk that ball and Joel said something about it in a post-game press conference, I think that was Joel's way of just being flat out frustrated with him. And I think he had his way of calling him out.
Well, I hope that is the turning point. I hope we do get a better version of Ben Simmons back next year. I do want to move ahead to this, because you were obviously a college athlete at Temple University, playing for the late great John Chaney. The news came out now where your fellow college athletes can be allowed to make money, which it took them long enough to allow that. So when that news came out today, or yesterday rather, what did you make of it?
I have a lot of questions. I'm
okay.
all for it. But now, are they going to cap it at a certain amount? Or are they going to say, when can you make money? What's the fine print? That's what I want to see. I know they said you can make money, and I forgot who it was. I think it's Alan B. Train, who went to Roman Catholic High School. They went to Townsend State, and I think he transferred to Rhode Island. And Alan B. Train put on his Twitter, he put that rule that came out. Then he said, I'm open for collabs. DM me, let's talk. And I thought that was smart on his part, because if I was a student athlete, my social media, I would be doing the same thing. So it's got to be a fine print, because if not, the top guys maybe making $1 million a year from Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour.
Mm-hmm.
Zion, imagine Zion. Zion and Meese made $1 million a year. Duke now. Let's play the other side. First of all, let me repeat. I am for to pay the athletes 100%. So let's look at the other side. Let's go back to Zion. Let's go back to a guy who might have stayed 2 years that was really good. If I'm making $1 million a year in college, am I going to class? So I may be good for the first half of the season. Am I going to be eligible the second half of the season? Or did my money outweigh my willingness to work to maintain proper grades to be eligible to play? So there's a lot of fine print that I need to read, because I'm really curious about it.
See, okay, let me ask you this then, because this is what my take on it is, that it could actually help the student athlete in terms of, you're not going to have anybody stay in college for 4 years. Like, I just don't see that ever happening again.
Exactly.
But it might, if a kid says to themselves, I can still make money while being in college off my name, maybe I'll stay another year because mom really wants me to at least get my associate's degree, something like that. Do you think that would help a kid stay in school for maybe a year longer?
So let me tell you like this. I think money talks. Money talks. So you think about some of these teams in these Power 5 conferences. Let's just go down to the biggest state in the country, University of Texas. They get a top 5 guy every year. Can you imagine the boosters? Can you imagine the oil tycoons that's there wouldn't want to say they wouldn't want to get this guy $1 million a year?
Sure.
He's saying, hold on now, if I get $1 million a year, I get to get my degree. So I'm in college in 4 years. I made $4 million. I got paid $4 million a year. $4 million in 4 years to get my degree. That's not a bad thing, Mom. I might want to stay for all 4 years. But then let's also look at it like this. I get $1 million a year. Like, say if my stock fell and I'm looked at to be a late first round or second round pick, I don't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got alumni who own major corporations saying, hey, Mark Jackson was a second round pick. I could pay him his league minimum. That would be $500,000 a year. Let me give him $600,000 a year to stay and to work to advertise for my company, do a commercial for my company. I may stay in 4 years. What would that do to my school? So there's a lot of pros with this.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. So it may be something to think about. But what about? But with that being said, what about? It's a lot of back and forth. You could say a little pros, a lot of cons. What can happen if we read the fine print? I just want to know, because now you got guys get transferred now with no sitting out, right?
Sure.
So what about if I go to say, I'm not going to use a school name. What if I go to the Blue University?
Sure. Yeah.
And then Red University saying, I have a car dealership. You're making $100,000 a year at Blue University. I have a car dealership willing to pay you $200,000 a year. Then you transfer to that school, you know, and you already can transfer now without sitting out. So with that being said, like, it's just a lot of, once again, I'm back to it again. There's a lot of fine print that I want to read, because I got questions. But I want to know, is it cap? I
did a radio interview yesterday, and somebody asked me about that. And I said the same thing you did as far as the fine print. I said, you know what? It came out in the big headline on social media. Hey, guess what? Student athletes can make money. And I'm like, yeah, that's cute. Let me keep reading. And sure enough, there's a lot of that red tape, obviously. Last thing for you, just a simple one for you, Mark. It's back to Ben Simmons. Do you envision Ben Simmons being with the 76ers again next year, or do you see the franchise moving on from him?
So that's funny. Let me tell you. So since the season ended, well, no, even I would say after game 3 or 4, when Ben numbers wasn't normal, I have people announce that the season has ended. And my favorite place is Sprouts. The people that approach me, the old ladies that approach me in Sprouts to talk about Ben Simmons is deli. So it's funny. Not older. I'm sorry.
Older.
Not,
it's Sprouts. I occasionally shop at Sprouts.
But the supermarket.
Yes.
And then when I go for my walks in the morning, now it's the conversation is, hey, Mr. Jackson, hey, love you on TV. Now it's like, hey, Mr. Jackson, love you on TV. Now let's talk about Ben Simmons. I know you. Right now. Are we keeping him? Are we keeping him? Or you think we should keep him? Do you think he'll come back better? Will Ben Simmons be back next year? I think he will, because I think if you're going to trade somebody, you got to trade them when their value is high. And right now, I don't think Ben's value is quite high. But my good buddy and colleague Jim Lynam says it only takes one to like you. It only takes one. So, but with that being said, I don't know if 8 months ago we could have had James Harden for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't think we can get James, the person who cuts James Harden beard for him. And that's no disrespect. I just think, especially from Philly, if we bring Ben Simmons back, I think Ben Simmons is a great talent. Does he have a lot of flaws? Yes, every player has a flaw. But I think Ben, and I said this to somebody today, Ben could come back next year and average 30, 20, and 10. But I really believe the city of Philadelphia will not forgive his performance in his playoff. And I think they will make it very uncomfortable for Ben Simmons if he was to come back to the Sixers. And I know Ben is strong mentally to a certain point, but I wonder how much can a person take in the city of Philadelphia with his brotherly love, but we do not forgive a lot of times. Yeah. And we know all we needed you was to do something, and this team would have been in the finals. Not saying they win it, but they would have went to the finals. So I think it's going to be hard, Fetch, for the city of Philadelphia to forgive Ben. Ben's going to have to do a lot of making up for the city of forgiving.
I agree with that. As far as if he steps on the court and he's the same player as this past season,
for him.
Oh man, if the foul shooting isn't even above 65%, this town will leave him alive. And if he's not shooting a jump shot, same thing.
Forget the percentage. If you're scared to shoot the ball, you're scared to get fouled.
Yeah,
that's even worse.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Mark Jackson, any plans for the 4th?
Not really. You know, my wife and I are dropping our kids off at camp on July 3rd, and they'll be going for 2 weeks. So we had a house ourselves. We're going to make the best out of it.
There you go. There you go, my friend. Mark Jackson, thank you so much. Your first appearance on the Farzy Show. Hopefully we get you on again in the not-too-distant future.
You're always available for you, buddy.
You're the best. Mark Jackson, former Temple University standout, obviously, 76er, and breaking it all down on NBC Sports Philadelphia, pre, post, and halftime live there on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Mark Jackson joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Mark, thank you so much.
Mark with the C's rules.
Bang! Right there, brother. I'll see you, my friend.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
See ya.
All right, Mark.
Thanks so much. Kids are away at camp. The house to themselves. No further questions. No further questions. My thanks to Mark Jackson for jumping on with us. Interesting. He obviously knows Ben Simmons' father. He didn't raise a lazy kid. Can't imagine that would be Ben Simmons. Hopefully that's the case. One thing that I think absolutely rings true from that conversation is if Ben Simmons does show up in a 76ers uniform next year and is the same exact player that's afraid to shoot, as Mark Jackson put it, oh yeah, we are not going to be kind to Ben Simmons. I would hate that wrath from Philadelphia fans, knowing that you probably went through an offseason where, yeah, you bought the new house in Los Angeles, you're taking trips overseas, whatever you're doing, you're having yourself a good time. You're posting videos of you working on that shot again, right? And then you come out next year and you're the same type of player. Man, heaven help you, my friend. Because, yeah, Philadelphia is not going to take too kindly to that. If you're here next year in a Sixers uniform, there better be a vast improvement. And confidence in your own game. Because here's the thing. When Giannis is playing, and obviously he's got the hyperextension, we'll see what the news is for Game 6. But when Giannis is playing, he shoots the jump shot. He shoots a three-pointer. We're not even asking Ben to shoot a three-pointer. But when Ben does shoot, it's so much prettier than when Giannis shoots. I have zero doubt in my mind that if Ben just had a little confidence in his shot, and decided to be a scorer, more of a scorer, let me just cut it off there. I think this guy can be a 20-point per game, 25-point per game type of guy. His shot is not ugly. It's not a matter of a physical glitch. It's a mental glitch for Ben Simmons. How do I know this? Because I've seen him shoot. It looks good when he shoots. It's a matter of just getting that confidence. So if Ben comes back as the same type of player next year, yeah, I think we're going to have some issues here in Philadelphia. And I think if you're asking me whether or not he's back, I am right now 60-40, 60% sure that he will be back for the Sixers this upcoming season. And as the offseason goes, that will probably only climb because it'll just kind of remind you that Ben Simmons is not going to be sold at a very low rate right now, and Daryl Morey's certainly not going to be doing that. He's going to wait till he gets at least to that higher point. Interesting also that, 8 months ago, you're talking about James Harden and Ben Simmons. And right now he's saying you can't trade him for James Harden's barber. So that is interesting. My thanks to everybody that joined us again on the chat throughout the day today. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not going to have a happy 4th, if you had too much going on, if maybe you have to work the holiday, just think of this. There it is for the people that joined us late that didn't get to see it, that maybe were on pod today and didn't get a chance to see it. But happy 4th of July, folks. And I'm gonna do. Like I said, I'm gonna go down to my brother-in-law's. I'm gonna watch the Italians hopefully beat Belgium. I'm gonna watch the Phillies hopefully win some ball games. And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna watch on 4th of July. I'm gonna watch Bill Pullman's speech from Independence Day, because nothing is more riveting than that. Nothing says God bless America more so than Bill Pullman trying to inspire a bunch of Americans, a ragtag bunch of Air Force people trying to go there and kick some alien ass. God bless America. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. Seriously, enjoy the 4th. I'll be back with you with an abbreviated show on Monday, but we'll give you that good content. That much I promise you. Zach Berman will join the show on Monday morning, so make sure you don't miss that. We'll break down all things Eagles as close as that thing comes closer and closer called training camp. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you on Monday. Take it easy.